Welcome back. Build your legacy. What's going on, Travis?
Nothing much, Bill. How are you, man?
I'm good. School started, right? Sports are back going.
In full swing.
How's the coaching going for you?
Yeah, so it's going good, right? We've started up football practice a little bit. We've had a few practices so far.
Baseball too, you said, right?
Yeah, we're doing baseball and football. You know, we're playing a little fall baseball, and then we're doing the football thing, trying to keep my little guy busy, right? He's at that age. He's just full energy, and I'm like, okay, I can do something with that. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, look, we've had several weeks of extreme heat.
Oh yes,
I think everywhere. So
I think it's been a theme for the summer, right? But yeah, it's been hot, so a lot of water breaks. Taking it easy. Push practicing back a little bit in the evening to try to help the kids out. But it's that time of year, man, right? I'm just glad we're getting back on like a routine.
You got a schedule now. A busy schedule at that, like you said. You keep them all busy. It's busy.
And I think I told you a few weeks ago, right? As a parent, you hear this all the time, like, hey, just wait. It only gets busier. It only gets busier. And it's like now that, I've got an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, and it's just like every night we're going somewhere, doing something. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand.
You've hit it.
I understand what people have been telling me.
And what they're saying is it's getting worse.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. But yeah, but it's fun, right? A lot of crock pot meals in our future, I think. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we live by.
I know. I was going to say,
but you got to. I mean,
yeah,
there's no way you can get home and still cook everything.
My wife's a saint. She takes care of us. But I mean, I think every time you and I are talking, starting this time of year, it's, you're either going to the soccer fields to do something, chasing around a basketball player, and it's just fun times.
That's right. Wouldn't have it any other way, though, would we?
Hey, listen, I would not trade it for the world.
Hey, it's the structure they need that helps them,
hopefully all these lessons they're learning, the structure, things like that, when they're older, they become, good quality individuals.
They know what to do.
Exactly.
They know how to use time wisely.
Yes.
Always the challenge.
Maximize it.
Yeah. So. That's right.
Well, we shooting another episode here today. We kind of wanted to get on here. One question I think we've been getting a lot of, and you also, every time you turn the TV on, you're getting inundated with these big brand, marketing pieces, or in the captive insurance agencies, things like that. And so we kind of wanted to take a step back and talk about the independent agency and their ability to compete with the big brands in the marketplace and the quasi disruption we're seeing in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go several different, ways here, but I think it's important for maybe, the person listening to understand maybe the breakdown of who we are, maybe as an independent agency, and maybe some stats that you and I have pulled on just to kind of paint the picture of, can we compete? Well, I think the stats say a lot, and then we can move forward into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we look at the stats, and listen, this is a big thing that we pay attention to and track at SIA of North Carolina and SIAA at large, because it's part of the story we tell, because we recruit captive insurance agents to come over and start an independent agency. We recruit direct writers to come over and start independent agencies. And a big part of our value proposition, of course, is the equity side of things, right? Building something truly for themselves, but it's putting themselves, as they continue their career in the industry, in the channel that is, writing more and more business year over year statistically, right? You know?
And so I think let's paint the big picture.
Yeah.
I think we've got to throw in personal lines and commercial lines. I know when we talk to a lot of people from the maybe captive or direct writer world, they don't have a lot of experience in commercial lines, and the stats say it all. So what is, I think 87% of the
I think it's a little
commercial.
Closer to, I think it's a little closer to 90. I think it's like 89% there.
Yeah.
Let's not cheat us.
So top 80s, high 80s.
Yeah, high 80s.
We can go with. So there's a reason why the captives and the direct writers focus in on personal lines. But let's just start with, hey, you can't forget about the commercial lines capabilities that the independent agency system has.
No, I completely agree. And I think speaks to the independent agency model being able to handle more complex risk, if that makes sense, right? And commercial in general.
Well, the diversity of markets too. I think
correct.
That's something we've got to always bring up is there's going to be independent markets that just write personal lines.
There is,
but there's equally a number that
just write commercial
lines.
Well, like you said, the diversity, but even within that diversity, right? We've got commercial carriers that focus in on trade contractors.
That's right.
We've got commercial carriers that focus in on hospitality, restaurants, things like that. You've got what I call more white collar versus blue collar carriers, right? So there's a diversification within the commercial sphere,
right?
That each individual carrier has their niche, right? Their target market. And as you're running an independent agency, listen, the independent agent historically is community based, regionally based in what they do. And so they have multiple different kinds of business owners within their community that they need to be able to handle and juggle multiple things, right? They need to be able to write the contractor. They need to be able to turn around and write the real estate agent, the professional. They need to write the local restaurant, those types of things to take care of the people in their community they want to do business with.
Well, and not only that is it gives the independent agency owner the flexibility to maneuver how they feel. Right? That's obviously key as an owner and somebody coming in. It gives them that flexibility. It also gives them the flexibility to hire that next person, because what they may do, they could diversify after that with their next hire.
I think that's a great point because, I tell agents all the time when I'm recruiting them, when you're looking at the future of growing your business, ultimately, you might not necessarily want to hire somebody that does exactly what you do, right? You might want to go hire that talented person that can open up a whole nother market that you've never tapped into. And so that you do have that flexibility, and it not only helps you grow your business, it makes you a better employer, right? Because you're helping someone achieve their goals, their dreams, their ambitions, giving them a career.
You got something to offer.
Yeah, for sure.
So we dominate commercial.
Dominate commercial.
Independent dominates commercial. Now let's kind of add the numbers together. If you got personal commercial, what was the number? Like 60-some% of the total insurance?
I think it was just over 60, like 62% of all premium written in our industry is written by independent agents.
Okay, so now we're the biggest if you really want to throw everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of it hinges, we just dominate in the commercial lines. So now let's go to the personal lines. I think in the last 5 years, we've increased the market share in the independent agency channel.
We have.
And this is the weird thing, right? Because a lot of stats we look at maybe from independent agencies and big eyes and things of that nature, I want to say we're like 39.5%.
39, just shy of 40. And so we've taken, again, looking at the stats since I think it was in the last 4 or 5 years, we've grown that channel by close to 4%. We're right there knocking on the door of controlling 40% of the premium written in the personal line space.
Okay. And so I tried to dissect that a little bit further because when we're 39%, then that's basically just comparing us against everybody else there. So if you really took out the specific, then let's pick on State Farm here for a second, just because we've been talking about them the past couple of months. I want to say they're at like an 18%, 19%.
Right. Yeah.
Still phenomenal number.
Yeah.
But if the question really is, can people compete with independents versus the one market that they have?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yes.
Because then the number's not 60-40.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We're at that 39 and everybody else is State Farm or below.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe if they're with Geico or something with the direct writer, there's certainly a big portion. But if you really say you're coming from Geico, which would be the highest, probably the biggest direct writer, or you're coming from State Farm, which is probably the biggest captive or exclusive, agent system, we're still double basically what they're coming from.
What they're coming from. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that, right? And I think it speaks to where the consumer is going, just like you mentioned in the commercial line space, right? The consumer wants diversity. They want options, right? They want the ability to kind of matriculate their insurance needs up and down based on where they are in their lifespan of purchasing insurance. And the independent agency is the only channel that offers that. Yeah. Right. And so I think
we love it.
Yeah, we love it. And, I think that is a huge piece to the competitive nature of things. I mean, especially right now with where the market's been the last few years, people are shopping their insurance harder than they ever have, right? And then even within that flexibility, we're talking flexibility on carriers and hiring staff, but let's flip this conversation to the tech stack and how you run your agency and how easy or difficult you can make it for your clients to do business with you. You have that ability to run your agency and build that buying experience, that consumer experience, how you see fit with the tools you want to invest in that drives or connects best with your clientele locally.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it circles back. Your original question is, can independent agencies compete?
Answer
I
yes.
think the stats say enough.
Yes.
If you just have State Farm, you just have Allstate, whomever it may be. Yes.
Yes.
The stats say it.
The stats speak to it, and then of course, then we sit there and we could keep peeling this onion back, and talk about hey, you can build your agency extremely niche oriented, to your point on the individual deciding. You get to pick and choose who you do business with, those types of things that allow you to compete more in the spaces or with the clients you want to compete with, not necessarily being controlled by what the captive or even the direct writers wanting to do from a national level.
Yeah, and I mean, and we've seen this. Here's the beauty of it too. If the person, I actually was just reading something, so I'm going to re-say my term because you and I would say Google it, but I read something the other day that says the new term is search it up. Right?
Search it.
It's search it up. So go search it up.
Okay, I'm going to add that to my lingo.
And the kids say that, not Google it anymore. So search it up.
Okay.
But I would also say from a combined ratio standpoint, is the independent agency system has been strong on the combined.
Right.
But I don't think that's where I want to go with my comment is even if they're not, or if there's some fluctuations in the independent agency system, there may be specific carriers that are driving it, and some carriers may be high, some may be low.
Right.
If you're with a captive and your combined goes high, they may have to take action. Probably will have to take some kind of action to right the ship there. Well, what if that's in your area? Yeah. What if it's with the products you sell, that you service? Yeah. What if it's those things and you're stuck?
Yeah.
And so I think when you look at, can we compete? Yes, because we do have that maneuverability. If a combined ratio goes bad with an independent company, there may be another one right there at the same line, doesn't have to take the action. I think that's something some of these folks should search up as well, is the combined ratios. What's the trends and what's going on?
I think that's a great point because I think, naturally, and I'm guilty of this too, when we speak to flexibility and things like that, I think your mind automatically goes to client acquisition, right? Selling more policies, writing more business. But I think your point is just as important for the retention aspect of things, for the long-term health of the agency, and
the workload geez. Well, maybe there's not a workload for them. Maybe they want it because they can't do anything about it. They're just losing it, to your point.
Well, and I mean, it can't be fun to sit there as your company takes action and have to be the one on the front line staking the arrows.
The bearer of the bad news every time.
Right. That can't be enjoyable because, again, I think one of the comments I get from pretty much every agent I talk to, because I want to know why they got into insurance, the most common answer is I like helping people.
Yeah.
And so if you're sitting there being the bearer of bad news, you can't feel like you're helping people.
And you're stuck.
Yeah. And you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Whereas we look at it going, there may be, again, not to say that somebody won't have a premium increase, because that can happen.
It happens.
In an independent world, in every world. But we can look at the client or the prospect and say, we have options. They can feel more comfortable, I believe, where the market's at. seeing that there's 3 carriers at this level or 4 carriers or whatever you decide to present to the person versus going, hey, the market's going up 20%, get over it. You gotta take it.
You can show your work, right? Yeah. And I think in today's day and age, people value within any business relationship, they want to see that the people they're doing business with are working for them, and you can show your work.
Hey, I'm going to equate that to when you and I were in grade school. I mean, maybe not anymore, but when you and I were in grade school, at least if you did math and you started showing the work, you'd get some credit for it.
Right.
So the answer may not be right at the end,
but you're on the right track.
But you're on the right track. So I do think people will respect that and agree that they see that we're following the right steps.
100%, right? And again, I think it just speaks to your comment, flexibility, right? That flexibility hits the nail on the head. The independent agent is able to compete with anyone, anywhere because of the flexibility we have in what we do.
So yes, we can compete.
Yes, that's the answer. Got a long-winded way to get there. But yes, that's the answer.
All right. Anything else we need to let people know about that to prove that we can compete, or they should just go search it up themselves?
Go search it up. I like that. I like that. So,
all right. Well, look, I think you got some guests coming on in the next couple of weeks,
yep.
So that'll be cool. So maybe everybody will tune in to see what guests you have.
Yeah, a little teaser there to end it. Don't miss next week.
All right. Have a good one.
See you guys.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.